These are the pictures we took on this Memorial Day weekend. Actually, it's a Memorial Day weekend and one extra day that I'll explain right at the end of this how this all evolved. But this was an exceptional Memorial Day 2013. And of course we started off the day with a nice GS ride. Tim had his 850. And here's Amy, who was riding with him. And I got to ride my GS. A nice, pleasant day. We thought everything was going to be normal. It's never normal. It always turns out to be something you didn't expect. So the first thing was, and somewhere else on YouTube, we got about a minute or two of Tim, who's buying this Ninja from Luciano, and he took it for a test ride. Our friend Joe joined us with his beautiful Brutale for the ride. It had rained real big the day before, so the roads were kind of slippery, and we didn't want to get too cute. Not that we're that cute to begin with, but we spent a lot of time in the driveway admiring his Brutale, and this is really a beautiful motorcycle. And it's really beautiful from a lot of different angles. It's one of the bikes, if I had an unlimited budget, I'd go. There was one for sale where Luciano bought the Ducati. Actually, Joe is the guy that Luciano ultimately bought the Ducati from, the yellow Ducati that he has. Here's a picture of Joe, and he's turned out to be a really nice guy who's fit into our group. We look forward to riding with him more times. We decided, and I just wanted to take some pictures of, the reason I wanted to take some pictures of the bike is, I don't really get to see a lot of these up close and personal, and they're really beautiful motorcycles. And as this weekend evolved, now you couldn't make this up, it turned out to be 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, we were all up on a mountain. The season had started. We had a couple of nice days. Here's Tim and Amy. But the story is that Joe was the first one, not this Joe, Moto Guzzi Joe was the first one, as Amy of course. Moto Guzzi Joe decided his dream came true. He dumped his BMW and bought a Moto Guzzi Grizzo. Now that started this whole trend toward Italian motorcycles, and of course Luciano bought the Ducati, Joe has the Brutale, and Pokey bought another Moto Guzzi, a Coppo d'Italia. So what happened is, now there's so many Italian motorcycles up on a mountain that there's no room for the Japanese guys. They make us park on the other side of the mountain. They're kind of an exclusive, you know how these Italian guys are. It's like an exclusive club. So they even put up a sign, parking for Italian motorcycles only. So I had to park my GS around the corner and basically when nobody could see it. And this really was a fun day. Now Luciano posted up some of his ride on his Ducati. You can see he's got the camera mounted already. His Moto Guzzi Joe arriving with his. We just finished painting the fairing last week. Here he is pulling into the parking lot, and Amy taking a bite out of his helmet. And of course, with all these Italian motorcycles up there, this just gets to be like an Italian motorcycle club. And you know, and Larry's got the Ducati. In fact, I might be the only one that doesn't have an Italian motorcycle. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the flag store and buy some Italian flag decals and stick them on my bike. So I'll have an Italian Suzuki. But now when you look at this, and look at this real close, this is an MV Agusta. I'm not sure if it's an 08 or an 06. I think it's an 08. And look at how nice everything is, neat and workmanlike. It's a really pretty motorcycle. Now I always like to look at the mechanical parts of a motorcycle with a lot of interest, because I'm always looking for ideas of what I can do to my bikes within reason. And here's Joe and Luciano talking about the clutch. Luciano's going to buy an aftermarket clutch, I think. I'm not sure. But he knew when he bought the bike it was coming up on needing a clutch. Now look at this good looking guy here. Look at this guy, looks a lot like me. Oh my God, it is me. Now see, when Joe was going to the bathroom, I think, somewhere, I decided I'd take a little nip up on his bike here, but I couldn't find the key. So this is for you, Karen, and this is, Karen, if you got a spare, you know, 7, 8, 10 grand laying around, I'll take it. Anyway, the riding position of this bike suited me really well. I would have no trouble. And I'm kind of finicky and fussy about riding position, seats, controls. I'm just a pain in the ass is what it boils down to. And I'm always, every time I get back from a ride, I think, what can I make better? Where can I put a control? Or can I take some slop out of something? Or I never like to leave well enough alone, and this bike kind of fit me right off the bat. Now, one of the things I really liked, these bar end mirrors, because one of the few things I don't like on some of my bikes, the mirrors are marginal. And as we were taking these pictures, a guy came through with a white Abarth. This is similar car to what Luciano's wife drives, the Abarth. And of course we get the usual amount of people that enjoy looking at the older bikes. But not many people were able to walk past the Brutale and not take a little look. And Joe has said he's got a fender eliminator he's going to do in the future on this. Now, one of the things that's really unique about this bike, and I have not ridden behind a Brutale, so I could say this, but the sound that comes out of these mufflers is really not a nice sound. Now, I've ridden behind Ducatis and behind other bikes and basically all sport bikes, and they all have a unique sound. One of the things about my R1 has a sound different than every other motorcycle I've ever ridden, especially up at 10, 11 grand when you back off the gas. When you do this thing up on 106 where you're on the gas, on the brake, on the gas, on the brake. And I love the sound. Now, Luciano has just gotten with his Ducati where he really likes some of our other friends up there, where he really appreciates and likes the sound. And you can see now the bikes are starting to fill in. We were one of the first ones up there, in fact. Here comes Jose. And of course the rest of Jose had to park on the side of the road where they don't let Japanese motorcycles under the tree anymore. This really is funny. All of a sudden, and nobody planned this, it just turned out to be like the Italian Motorcycle Club. But I guess nobody planned World War II either, so I guess we'll find out. Now, again, I like to look around. I like to see the different things. I like the little covers around the motor here. This is another beautiful, beautiful workmanship on this bike. Beautiful exhaust system, by the way. Now, Joe's bike has a unique sound too. I rode behind him the other day, and it's not the sound when you're on the gas. It's the sound when you're in a relatively high RPM and you back off the gas. Now, what I like to do is on some of the twisty roads is not use the brakes at all. Just put it in a low gear, full gas, back off, full gas, back off. Save all that wear and tear on the brakes and just listen to the motor do its thing. And we have all the usual suspects, all the usual people, that the big spenders of the world, all the AIG employees of the world here. We really did have. Now this was a great day. This really was a fun day. Now what happened with this weekend, Saturday it rained all day, it was a washout. This I believe is Sunday. And it was a really good day. Really, I shouldn't complain about anything. It was really a nice day. Now this is the pictures from Sunday. We went up Sunday, and what we did is Luciano got to ride his R6. And this is the one I painted right here. And we ran into this fella who had bought this bike as a bike that had been dropped or wrecked, or I'm not sure, a track day bike or whatever, but it didn't have any of the bodywork on it. And Luciano was looking to get another Ducati for a parts bike, but this one was different. This was a 999. This is like Larry's bike. And so we were chatting with this guy for a while. He does track days. I thought this was the most unique mirror in all of motorcycling. if you want to look at your belt buckle or something and not see anything behind you. Check it. The mirror isn't even facing backwards. So I'm not sure if you go flying over the handlebars, this wouldn't take your testicles off either. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, Luciano was interested in talking to this. This guy had 4 Ducatis, and he wanted to know more about the clutches. And the guy had some used clutch baskets for sale. There was one of the Yamahas we see up there all the time that's all blinged out. Some of the usual suspects, and of course Luciano had to sit on a Ducati to compare it to his Ducati. And now, see, I just did a bar conversion on my R1 to Renthal low bars, and I got to actually ride it this weekend, but that's later on in our little video here. Now Luciano too, he doesn't mind having the handlebars this low, but then he's 6 years younger than me. Anyway, and on this day, now one of the things I wanted to do this day, I wanted to ride my FZR, which has Renthal bars on it. Thanks to our friend Chuck, turned me on to these Renthal bars. I've got four sets of them now on my bikes, and they're perfect. They just couldn't be any better. And all our friends, all the usual suspects, criticize us for everything we do. But that's the whole fun. Now this is really a unique group of guys, and I don't know how you could define it, either good or bad. It's a unique group of guys. That's the bottom line. Now, we also ran into, and this was Sunday, ran into a guy that we had seen at track day many times. He had a Honda Hawk, and now he's got an RD that he restored, did the engine himself, did the paint himself, which is always nice. We were looking this over and checking out his ignition system. He's got a tricked out ignition system on here. The little battery from the alarm like we had, I've upgraded that. I was not happy with the little battery. And this bike that just had a ton of accessories on it. Really nice paintwork, beautiful red. And I was looking at the RD again, always looking for ideas. He had the Clubman bars on, a shortened fender. And this is an R5, by the way, like Malcolm has, similar to Malcolm's R5. Now, one of the neat things on this bike, and I was looking at these, see there are air scoops around the front fender that direct air down at the brake pads where the heat is being made. A very nice, a very cool accessory. I had not seen that too many times before. And I was looking at different angles on the RD. I know Ray likes to look at these RD pictures whenever we can get them. This is how he wound up doing some trick electronic stuff here. I don't know what it was. I don't know much about electricity. I can't even plug a toaster in sometimes without getting the fat end and the short end of the plug. But anyway, this was interesting. But what was interesting is he was holding the seat down the same way we do on the seats that I make, where the pad gets held down with Velcro. All the seats I made for Luciano and for myself. I think 5 or 6 for my bikes already. And that really works well. I think this is the most multicolored Honda up there. You don't see many bikes with this many colors in the paintwork. Now, because the fairing and front fender are missing, I kind of think in the back of my mind, maybe the bike had a little accident. I don't know. Well, maybe they want it like that. I don't know. The usual guys on the Harleys. Now, this was a real treat for me. I don't know what year this is. I had a 1947 Air Coupe for about 7 years. And because I was one of the 5 partners on it, I got to paint it. I got to do a lot of the restoration work on it. And when I saw this go overhead, I was in tears. This really was a nice... We see one at the air show every year at Wings and Wheels. That's really a show plane. I mean, the guy really did it up. It's polished aluminum. This one looks a little more like a driver. Now, this is something we frown upon. See, Joe doesn't understand this. Motor Guzzy Joe doesn't understand. You don't leave your jacket on the bike. When people want to take a picture, they don't want to see your diaper hanging out the back here or something. Now this was funny, as we're talking to the guys, and we're all hanging around, the guy with the replacement outhouses drives by. Now this guy, we see him all the time too, of course, and he comes up and cleans the outhouses. Now, you know, if there was such a place on the earth that's more disgusting than the outhouses in the middle of summer on Bear Mountain, I haven't found it yet. People actually have come out of the outhouses screaming, it's so bad in there. And God forbid if you get in there and somebody decides they're going to play a joke on you and tip it over or lock you in there, you could die. You could literally die. And all of the guys in our group of friends are jokesters, let's be honest about it. Here's Jose in the background again, coming in. Trying to sneak in stealth so he doesn't get harassed for not having an Italian motorcycle. But we're going to get a bunch of these little Italian decals or something and paste them on all the Suzukis and Yamahas. So, you know, it'll just be a lot of fun. Now, this was very cool. This, I don't know this fella's name, but he bought an Aprilia. And it's several years old. I don't know what year it is. But he apparently got it for a really, really cheap price. And it absolutely looks brand new. It's amazing. It's just totally amazing that it looks this good. It is unbelievable how... I looked at it, and if he was trying to fool me, I think he could have pawned it off as like a one-year-old bike or maybe even a new bike. And it's got the cool seat. It had a factory racing exhaust, among other things. And the biggest thing he had was he didn't have the blue wheels. When our friend Alex had the blue wheels, and every other Aprilia we saw with blue wheels, the blue deteriorated in a year or two, the most, and then the wheels looked like crap. This one had silver wheels, so. And now I don't know the real deal, and I don't want to speculate, but this really looked like a really nice bike. And Luciano, who knows these Italian bikes are way better than I do, said this is really like a $12,000 or $13,000 bike when it was new. So anyway, along comes Monday. We get through the 2 big weekend days. We get through Monday, and Tuesday comes. I get a call from Larry, who had a couple hours off and wanted to take a quick run up to the Eagle's Nest up by West Point. So we met by the circle, and this is what I want to do. I wanted to try out my Renthal bars on the R1. That was the objective. Now, they said it was going to rain, and it looked like rain, but again, when you're riding a sport bike, I mean, if you're not a tough guy, you may as well not even go riding. So I figured I'll be a tough guy anyway. I'll show Larry. I'll teach him how to ride in the wet anyway. And it didn't rain. And it got to like 12 o'clock, and we were cruising around the park and going on the back roads and doing what silly men do at our age, well, my age anyway. Burning up our exhaust pipes. Now these are on their 5th year, so, and there's no deterioration on them at all. So I gotta think, this whole set of pipes, when I made these, I made extra canisters thinking they'd deteriorate. They haven't even gotten, well, they're perfect. That's the bottom line. So the way this day played out, and this was very funny, you can't make this up. Karen decided she had some plants to replace. We had a storm go through and kill some of our plants. She wanted to plant, I wanted to ride, and they said it's going to rain. So I'm only an hour and a half away from the house. It's about 70 miles up here, and all the way up here it was spectacular. It looked like it was going to rain, but it didn't rain. Looked like it was going to rain, not a drop of rain. And I was telling Larry, you know, well, maybe we lucked out here. Maybe it's not going to rain. But what I did get to try, and I was totally amazed, these handlebars, the Renthal bars, and that conversion that I did using RD parts, and I put steel brake lines on, have totally changed my enjoyment of this bike. This bike is now a bike you can easily ride 200 miles on with no effort, no pain in the wrist, no pain in the neck, no pain in the ass. And you know, unlike a Ducati that's really geared toward, well, actually when the R1, when I bought it, where it's totally a sport bike, I don't really want to have a total sport bike. I want this to be somewhere in between, where I can go on long rides, because summer is coming, and I do like to go up to the onion fields and beyond, and I do like to take trips out to Pennsylvania. And by the time you're done, sometimes those rides are 300 miles. And when I went for this ride with these bars, it was worth every penny of doing this conversion. And they actually don't look bad. To me, they don't look bad. I got a tinted windscreen coming this week. It's a double bubble and a little bit higher windscreen. May or may not like that, I don't know. But the new tires are wearing in just great. I was showing Larry how to evaluate the wear edge of the tire, where you can see the part of it where you're getting on the gas, and if you're getting on. And Larry's riding skills are really improving with every ride we take, and he's riding every day without me, so he's maybe learning more there than with me, I don't know. But before the day ended, Larry and I took a bath, and we both got an hour and a half of riding in the rain. And when I got home, of course, the first thing Karen says is, "You shouldn't have gone out riding today." Maybe she was right. You really never know. But you know what? In Karen's case, Karen's always right.